In Taiwan, now while rescue efforts are still being carried out to extricate the train wreckage from the tunnel, investigations are also ongoing to determine why a truck had slipped downhill from a construction site, resulting in a collision and derailment that killed at least 50 people.
The truck operator, who was detained earlier, is out on bail. He said he would take full responsibility of the crash. The authorities are still trying to determine whether he had neglected to use the emergency brake or whether the truck had malfunctioned.
The 8-car Taroko Express train had been nearly full with about 490 passengers. 120 or so held standing room only tickets. Now, according to the National Fire Agency, the train was traveling from Taipei to the southeastern city of Taitung when it derailed close to tourist hotspot Hualien around 9:30 a.m. local time.
The train was coming out of a tunnel when it apparently hit a truck which had rolled onto the track. The last few train cars slammed against the tunnel wall. Identifying victims has been a slow and difficult process as rescuers continue efforts to retrieve the wreckage and recover remains of the casualties.
The Straits Times' Taiwan correspondent Catherine Wei joins us with the latest. Hi Catherine, welcome to the show. Now you were at the crash site in Hualien over the weekend. What did you observe?
I went to a hospital first and then the funeral home and then the crash site. And at the site, authorities were still working to extract the train from the tunnel because most of it was still stuck inside. It derailed and the first 3 to 4 carriages were pretty crumpled up. So there was debris everywhere. And while they had removed what they believe was most of the passengers alive and dead from the carriages, there may still be human remains inside. So that's what they're still doing now. And I noticed that, so we were able to reach the construction site that sat a little bit above the tracks where the accident had occurred and where a construction truck was parked. So the truck had rolled onto the tracks. Maybe the brakes had malfunctioned. We don't know yet, but it being on the tracks led to the train crash because the train conductor or the operator only had about 6-7 seconds to react when the train left a former tunnel and was about to enter this one. And he slammed on the brakes, but there wasn't really enough time. The crash still happened, and the construction site was pretty. It was very bare. The slope that the truck was parked on, it was really hard for us to walk on foot too because it was unpaved. It was pretty rocky and sandy, and even for humans, it was a lot of slipping and sliding. So you can imagine the truck just not being able to park there really well. So I think he shouldn't have parked it on the slope in the first place. And also, we noted that the construction sign put there said that the site was meant for a construction to uphold the safety around train tracks. It was a project commissioned by the Taiwan Railways Administration. So that made it extra ironic that a safety construction project actually caused such a big accident.
Well, Catherine, you mentioned earlier that, rescuers are still trying to locate human remains in the tunnel and in the debris of the train. Can you elaborate on the latest on the rescue efforts?
Okay, so I think on Saturday night, what was believed to be the 51st dead was discovered inside one carriage. It was crushed under very heavy debris, so they couldn't remove the body. They had gotten the DNA of the remains and had them examined, but later discovered it was just a body part that belonged to one victim who had already been identified. And just by this, authorities said there could be similar happenings or similar body remains scattered in the debris. They are not the top priority now because it would be hard to locate them without moving the train out first. So they're still working to really move the hardware first. And They have brought in incense, burnt the incense, and talked to the victims and said, this is what we're doing now, and we're asking for your understanding.
Catherine, so once the extrication process is completed, only then proper investigations can be conducted. What might be the areas of focus?
I think a part of the investigation has already begun because yesterday, that was Sunday, authorities found at the mouth of the tunnel the dash cam that belonged to the truck that rolled onto the tracks. So there should be 2 memory cards. They found one, they're looking for the second one, and footage should be reviewed pretty soon. They're also already looking at footage collected from the train's dash cams and also interviewing survivors and also the person who was in charge of the construction site. He's detained now. But the focus would be why, I think primarily on why the truck had rolled over in the first place. Did he not put the handbrakes on, or did the brakes malfunction? And about the construction site, I think there's a lot of scrutiny on the owner himself, a man detained right now because he had some bad record in the past with former construction projects. He had his license stripped a few years ago, and people are getting really angry because they're wondering why the government even commissioned a project to this person in the first place.
Well, Catherine, thank you so much for the update. That was our Taiwan correspondent in Taipei, Catherine Wei. You can, of course, keep up with the latest on this story at straitstimes.com, where you can also find more news and videos.